Zambia Blog Talk Radio.
Hello ZBTR family, my name is Mhambi Musonda, and guess what? I will be taking over the anchor's chair, Pastor Nathan's chair, on the third Saturday of every new month as we host Conversations with Me. Yes, Conversations with Mhambi. We will be talking to young Zambian leaders who are making a difference in Zambia and in the world writ large. Zambia is on fire and the young people are leading it. I hope you will join us on the third Saturday of every new month for me, Conversations with Mhambi. I look forward to being in conversation with each and every one of you. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are watching us from. Yes, I am in the anchor's chair today. As aforementioned, my name is Mhambi Musonda. I am a college student based here in the United States. I reside in the Washington, D.C. metro area, and I'm studying political science. Well, if you're new to ZBTR TV, we welcome you. If you're not, it is good to see you. Now, I am sort of a familiar face here. I've had the opportunity to appear various times throughout the past few months and the past year. But I was approached by our beloved host, Pastor Nathan, at the beginning of the year, saying that I want you to host a monthly, weekly, we'll see how you have it, conversation talk series. I was like, whoa, this is something new. So after much consideration, after much prayer, I am here talking to you today for our inaugural debut of Conversations with Mhambi here on ZBTR TV. So I am excited to be talking to each and every one of you this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are watching us from. And I'm very delighted that our first ever guest on this show is someone that I have had the opportunity to get to know over the past year. And when we talk about how social media is used as a connection point, that relationships are built not just in person, but also on social media, this is an example of it. I am going to be in conversation with my dear brother, Ray Zulu in Zambia. But before I get him to you, I'm going to read his bio. He is an exceptional young man that I've had the opportunity to know over the year. So before I get to him, he's already here, but I'm going to read his bio. Ray Zulu is a committed development practitioner, youth advocate, and passionate follower of Christ. He holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Development Studies from Zambia Open University and currently serves as the speaker and coordinator for the Junior Parliament Initiative. In this role, he mentors young leaders in civic engagement, servant leadership, and national transformation. He is driven by a deep love for God, a passion for change, and a strong desire to inspire a renewed spirit of patriotism and purpose among Zambia's youth. Please welcome my friend and my brother, Ray Zulu, all the way from Zambia.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
It is good to see you. It is good to see you. First of all, let me say thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here with me. When I was approached by Pastor about this show, you were on the top of the list of people that I wanted to talk to. So I'm very grateful that you have taken time out of your schedule to be here. First, before I get to the questions, how are you? How are things going in Zambia? Give us an update.
Thank you so very much for having me. I'm so grateful to be given this opportunity. I'm doing fine, and things in Zambia are well. Right now, it's cold. It's
Mm.
very cold, and it's just nice to be part of a country that is so rich in minerals and rich with human resources. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. So my first question is a simple one. Can you tell us a bit about your personal journey? What led you to becoming a development practitioner and youth advocate? But I wanna separate this into two parts. First, tell me about you. What is your personal journey that has led you to this point? Then we'll talk about your career
All
or
right.
your emerging career.
All right. So, for me, I come from a humble family. My dad is visually impaired. So, growing up in a community, friends in school, friends in the community would laugh at me that my dad is disabled, and people used to tell me that I'm not going to do anything and I'm not going to go anywhere because of having a dad that is disabled. So over time, I didn't have confidence in myself, and I was defined by what people said about my life, and I considered my dad and family to be a curse. And yeah, so as a result of that, I started living a compromised life at a very young age. Started
Mm.
living a compromised life so that I can be accepted, so that I can have something to offer to my friends. So I started, stealing, because each time I could go to school, I didn't have money to use at break time to buy a snack, and I would just be alone. So I saw maybe if I have resources, people can be coming to me, and I would have friends that I can relate with, and friends that could just accept because I have something to offer. So because of I became too handy getting other people's things. So at some point I got someone's phone, sold it, and they managed to trace the phone. So they came after me the time I was writing my grade 9 exams, and they
Wow.
told me, we're going to take you to the police and you're not going to write these exams. So that moment, my dad and mom didn't know about it, but the owner of the phone decided to go to my family. So dad whipped me so bad, and he was very disappointed in me. So that day, I went away from home, and I was walking in the rains. I started asking God, why did you give me such a family? People laugh at me. People tell me I'm not going to go anywhere. Why have you given me a dad that is disabled? Why have you given me a family where I eat once a day? Why, God? And in that moment, I met a man that I knew. He took me to a place where he was attending prayers. And in that room, the pastor spoke about Jeremiah 29, verse 11.
Mm.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans not to harm you, but plans to give you hope and a future. Those words really transformed me and led me to Christ. I realized God gave me this family for a purpose. God gave me a disabled father for a purpose. And I'm in this family because it's an original plan of God. And I'm
Mhm.
not harmed by his original plan, but through his strategic blessing in this family, he has a plan and purpose for my life. And that changed my perspective. I appreciated my dad for who he is. And from that time, I saw how much of a blessing he is and he was at that point in my life, and everything changed. And that's how God helped me, changed my perspective over life and how I looked at myself. I was now defined by what God says about my life and not what people say about my life.
Amen.
And limitation wasn't part of me. What was part of me is the purpose and knowing that in everything God is present. In everything there's a purpose and a plan that God has for me. And from there, that's how I saw my life transforming, and God bringing in people that have really helped uh, me reach where I am today. Where I am today has been made possible by a number of people that have poured into my life. And from that, I'm going to your second question. From that, that's where I was asking myself, how can I, give back? How can I help others? Because I'm who I am, and I'm who I am. I'm getting to the place of my dreams and living a dignified life because God is using people to bless me and create ways. So I was like, I want to become rich so that I can bless. But at that point, I saw that when I become rich, I will have a limited capacity to reach everyone. And that's where my inspiration of becoming president started.
Mm.
And like I just have
Wow.
to become president so that I can create favorable policies where each and every child struggling, each and every family suffering, every young boy who doesn't have hope, like I never used to have hope years back, can have hope through those favorable policies that can give them opportunities, that can empower them to just live a dignified life. So that's where, the inspiration of just doing development studies and the inspiration of just becoming a leader in my community and the inspiration of wanting to become president of Zambia came from, so that God can use me in his own unique way to bless and create opportunities for many kids in Zambia that do not have hope of becoming who they want to be in life.
Wow. So I hope for our audience, you just heard his declaration that he will become the president of Zambia soon.
Yeah.
So you heard it here on this inaugural edition that we have the future president of Zambia in
Yeah.
our midst.
Yeah.
Amen. 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 I want to, before I go to my next question, I want to sort of do a segue. Why politics? And I know we've discussed this before, because in Zambia, not just in Zambia but across the world, but we're going to be talking specifically. We'll use our country as a
Mm.
case study. There is a lot of sort of disillusionment with politics, apprehensiveness with politics. Oh, they're just corrupt. They all steal to the night of the administration. They all steal it. CDF. Look at this. Why politics? How do you want to use your eventual political career as a catalyst to change people's attitudes about the power of politics? You already talked about it, but I want you to expand more on that, because I think I subscribe to that idea of politics as a force for good.
Mm. And many people say politics is a dirty game,
Hmm.
but for me, I say politics is not a dirty game. It's our selfishness that has made our selfishness as people that has made politics to look like a dirty game. For
Wow.
me, politics is a vehicle that God has empowered a lot of us as human beings to be able to be in leadership and used as tools of transformation, tools of hope, tools that can really bless other people and people help experience God by Him empowering myself or any other people to become leaders. So for me, it's I've been looking at over time. I've been looking at, when we talk of the issue of corruption, the
Hmm.
issue of mismanagement of funds.
Funds.
And I was looking at Zambia is a Christian nation, and each and every one of us that has an opportunity to be in leadership, we come from churches, we come
Yes.
from families, we come from the same communities where we're exposed to the struggles that people go through. But what I see is a missed opportunity to apply the servant way of leading, the Christ way of leading, where you lead from the heart and not from the power that you have as an individual. Most of the time, we just look at, power and
Yeah.
not looking at the heart that you have, using your heart to let God use your heart to reach out to people. But most of the time, we use these leadership opportunities to extract resources and just for our own selfish gain. Like for me, I've really spent my life evaluating how best I want to be a leader. And like the vision of becoming president of Zambia, I was asking myself, what if I die along the process and I
Mm.
don't become president of Zambia? So I told myself, when God gives you a dream to be in leadership, it doesn't mean you have to lead when you're in that position. You
Wow.
can
Wow.
only lead if you decide to move with your dream and live your dream. I live my life like a president in my
Mm,
community.
mm,
Decided to serve because I don't want for me to have the position for me to, in order for me to effect change, in order for me to influence policies, in order for me to bless lives. And and this journey is what empowers one. Is the journey of becoming a leader by leading within your dream and not waiting for you to be in the actual position. That's the journey God uses to prepare your heart, to build you, to expose you to many skills that could help you become a servant leader. Because when you say, I want to be president, I want to get into politics, or I want to get into leadership positions at the time when I reach 30, and you haven't been so intentional about, preparation, been so intentional about exposing yourself to spaces, people that could pour into your life, or people that God could use to build the skills in you, then when you're given the actual position, you won't lead effectively. You will create a definition of politics where people consider it as a dirty game. Right now, to tell you the truth, my brother, it's very scary to become to get into politics in Zambia, because most of the time we can't find uniqueness in terms of leaders. It's more like we have one crop of leaders that are birthed from, like one mother, lack of a better term. They are unique leaders, but most of the time you find that 80% of the people do not have the heart of service. That's the reason why we can't really see the difference in terms of how things are done, because we have a small population of people that are led by the heart. Most of us are just led by our selfishness to have the power and not serve the people. That's the reason why we're considering politics as a dirty game. But we can redefine the way people look at politics when we approach it with a heart of service, when we approach it with a heart of, the Christ way of leading, where you are not in leadership to, like to dominate over people's interests. You're not in leadership to use power to gain, but you're in leadership to give hope and let the people lead you. Because I believe leaders are, servants.
mm.
We have a larger population of people, and I love yesterday we had Parliament Day. I think one of the guest of honor highlighted the point. We have a huge population, and only one leader can be selected for a particular position. But it doesn't mean that this leader is supreme. It is, when you're chosen as a leader, consider it a privilege where God is using you as a vehicle that other people can, present submissions to their views, their aspirations, their solutions and resolutions. They submit them to you. Then, as a person that God has chosen in the moment, you take it as a privilege for you to be able to drive the change, drive the transformation, and do the enforcement and everything. So I believe we can really redefine the issue of politics and rekindle the hope within the idea of politics by being true to ourselves and just uh, upholding servant leadership in our hearts. Yeah.
You just answered my question, because I was going to ask you, how do we rekindle a spirit of service, a spirit of national service, a spirit of public service in the political square, in the political arena? Because as you said, most politicians, um, they're led by, I think, two things. You're led by ambition, and then you're led by service. Those are two things that you should be led by, right? Ambition, that's necessary in any career, any political career. You have to have that fire. But I think oftentimes,
And I'm not cutting you short, my
no.
brother. Right now, people are not being led, they're being led by ambition, and the aspect of service is not there. Because
Mm-hmm.
when I look at a lot of people wanting to get into power nowadays, we have a lot of young people wanting to get into power not because they want to serve, but they look at leadership, public service as a quickest way of becoming rich.
Yes.
So it's a way of attaining wealth. And that's the reason why we see a lot of people, they're not driven by their passion to lead, but driven by their passion to becoming rich. And a lot of people come to me in my community and tell me, Ray, we want you to stand as a counselor in 2026. I tell them I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. You might see the number of things that I'm doing, but I feel I have a long way to go, where I believe I have to learn and prepare myself, and also be ready, because I don't want, when I become maybe council at that point, I start misusing CDF funds and many
Mm.
other funds to better my life, buy vehicles. When I'm given that position, it's about public service delivery and not me becoming rich and having a comfortable life. So I believe most people are not inspired by the issue of service. They're inspired by uh, politics or leadership position being a quickest way of becoming rich.
You just answered my first three questions. So now I'm feeling a little nervous. I said, "Oh my gosh, am I adequately prepared?" But I'm going to ask you this question. This is not in the script. I'm going to deviate. What are you doing now in your current positions to sort of change a narrative from, listen, this is not, yes, it's about, there's certain perks of politics, power and stuff, but it's really about serving people. What are you doing in your current positions to sort of change the narrative, especially among young people who are interested in civic engagement, in public service, in politics, to change it from, it's not just about ambition, but it's about service?
Mm. One, what I'm doing about it is I've started with my friends. The friends that I have are able to see the life that I live. And I
Mm.
believe the issue of changing the narrative begins, it's a long journey. Most of the people that want to get into leadership do not have an opportunity to be groomed, prepared, mentored, so that they can fully understand what they are getting in. They can fully have knowledge of what is involved, the skills necessary, and every
Yes.
other aspect that has to be poured into you for you to be prepared. Most of the times, it's experimental leadership that we have in Zambia. You'll find that a leader is not prepared. 30% of the work that they'll be doing, that will be performance, and 70% will be learning. But in the actual sense, it has to be 70% public service delivery, then 30% learning. So what I'm doing, the idea of the junior parliament, I joined
Yes.
junior parliament in 2015, which is a platform where young people are mentored in servant leadership. They are given a voice to influence decisions in social, political, and environmental institutions, and also rekindle the spirit of patriotism in Zambia. What drives us is that it's not what our country can give us, but we see what our country can be if we commit ourselves to its transformation. That's
Wow.
patriotism. First of all, we have to help people fall in love with their country. You find that a lot of people are not patriotic to Zambia. They
Yes.
are not in love with Zambia, but we are in love with political parties.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the problem is. So the junior parliament is what changed my perspective, the way I look at things, is what helped me have a love for Zambia and not look at what Zambia will give me, but I look at what can I offer to Zambia so that those opportunities that I want can be created. Then I know when I invest into Zambia, when I give back to Zambia, Zambia will be able to give back into me. So what we've been doing through the junior parliament, what I learned over the years and being given an opportunity to be the coordinator of the program and the mentor. Right now we have 3 chapters here in Ndola, Lusaka, and Kalulushi, and we have about 30 young people in Ndola, 30 young people in Kalulushi, 30 young people in Lusaka. 90 young people are the young people that I'm mentoring right now in servant leadership, advocacy, and how best they can serve their communities in just influencing and effecting change. So I've been so strategic through the empowerment that I have under Jubilee Center, which is an organization that supports the junior parliament initiatives. We are so strategic in coming up with lessons and curriculums that help, first of all, people know who they are and what is in them. I think we have an identity crisis in Zambia. Most of the time, a lot of us do not know who we are. Sometimes we live our lives effectively, but we don't really fully understand what God has deposited in us
Wow.
and how we can best use everything in us in effecting change. and giving hope to others. So we have personal development trainings, self-awareness trainings, servant leadership trainings, and general leadership trainings, advocacy trainings, and real life trainings that can really help them understand life, and biblical trainings, because for us it's about God, it's Christ-centered, because we believe only if you give your life to Christ and you have a relationship with God, that's when He's going to empower you, and that's when you're going to have the necessary skills in applying servant leadership. You can't be a servant leader if you're not a child of God. We learn these leadership skills from how God used Christ in showing us, giving us as an example of servant leadership. The issue of washing of the feet, that's a great example of how sometimes as leaders we should move away with our titles and just save others. But most of the times we want the people we are leading to always wash our feet. But Christ showed us how humble he was by allowing himself as a king, the child of God, to just bow down and touch people's feet. And that's an idea that we should all move with. So we are striving so hard through the junior parliament and with support from Jubilee Center to change the narrative. If you look at the number of young people from 2015, we've mentored over 400 plus young people that have gone through the junior parliament. If you look at the universities where they are, the difference they are making. If you look at the environments where they are, how unique they are, and just how exemplary they are, and how leaders begin to admire. Yesterday we had the debate that I spoke about earlier. When leaders saw the potential that young people have, they were so impressed. And they told us, we are so proud and excited that we can see that the future is in safe hands. We can easily leave our leadership roles to people that are ready, people that are prepared. And I told them, for us, we were talking about Parliament Day. We told them Parliament is not the building in Lusaka. Parliament lives in our hearts, because we are the Parliament. It's about us. It's us that submit these decisions and concerns, every voice in the community that has to be heard. It lives in our hearts, so we are supposed to be fully engaged, and it has to move with us. For us, we believe Zambia and everything about Zambia lives in our hearts. And
Wow.
that way, when it lives in you, you'll be so hard. Everything about you will be so expressive. Your heart will be burning. If you see a challenge in the community, you won't wait. Like for me, I don't wait for the government to do something. I have to take a step. There are things that the government can do, and there are things that I have to take a step and it can be done, and things where I have to engage the government and remind them of their roles and responsibilities. And these are the kind of trainings that I've been exposed to over the years that have changed my mindset and just changed the narrative. And we're striving so hard through Junior Parliament and Jubilee Center to ensure that we change the narrative. Yeah.
Wow. Powerful first segment. Now we're going to have more, but we're going to go to a commercial break. And then after that, we'll have more from our future president.
Thank you so much.
Hello, ZBTR family. My name is Mhambi Musonda, and guess what? I will be taking over the anchor's chair, Pastor Nathan's chair, on the third Saturday of every new month as we host Conversations with Me. Yes, Conversations with Mhambi. We will be talking to young Zambian leaders who are making a difference in Zambia and in the world writ large. Zambia is on fire, and the young people are leading it. I hope you will join us on the third Saturday of every new month for me, Conversations with Mhambi. I look forward to being in conversation with each and every one of you.
Patriotism is defined as the vigorous loyalty and support for one's country. Loyalty and support. We are considered the third hungriest country in the world. 15% of our children are underweight and 40% have stunted growth. 60% live below the poverty line, while 42% live in extreme poverty. High commodity prices means most families spend 64% of their income on basic food needs. 1.5 million children are orphaned by HIV and AIDS. Life expectancy is 59, one of the lowest in the world. Loyalty and support. When you're a young person living in a nation with these statistics, it would be easy to dismiss the possibility of a patriotic spirit. I certainly did. My name is Lisa and I'm 16 years old. I first heard about junior parliament through Ray, a fellow student at Kamba High School. Ray has been a member since its inception. He had an aura of hope and confidence which I did not see in myself and other students. When he first shared about it and what they do, I immediately applied and joined. It has been one of the greatest decisions I ever made.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. We are back from our commercial break with Ray Zulu, our future president of Zambia, who has already inspired me, and I hope it's inspiring you all. I want to piggyback to something you mentioned earlier about patriotism and loving your country, because it reminds me of here in America when, of course, as you know, there was an election last year, and the Democratic Party in America, they really tried to capture that essence of, let's embrace patriotism, let's embrace love of country. We don't have to shy away from the flag, we don't have to shy away from our values. Let's embrace patriotism, which is something that they hadn't done before, really, since Barack Obama was president. So I want you to talk about that. Sort of how are you, and you already mentioned it earlier, but how are you in your capacity sort of renewing a spirit of patriotism among young people? Because it's not just about loving the flag, it's also about embracing our vernacular language, embracing all the customs that accompany Zambia. Because I think as young people, we can oftentimes look, I'm pretty sure, as as being there, there's sort of a lack of appreciation for our culture. And I'm sort of an anomaly. I'm only 20, and I have such appreciation for our culture, because I understand that you have to understand where you're coming from to know where you're going. To talk about your campaign in your work to renew a spirit of patriotism among young people in the homeland.
One thing we do is, you can't be patriotic to something that you don't know. Most of the times during the junior parliament sessions, there's a time where we sing the national anthem. I don't know, when singing the national anthem, I always feel emotional. So I get surprised why am I feeling emotional. And over time, it's because of the patriotism that lives in me. And this was built as a result of reading about Zambia, knowing the history of Zambia, knowing the culture that we have in Zambia, and knowing who I am within, the Zambian setup. I believe most people are not patriotic because they just say I'm Zambian, but they do not actually know who they are as Zambians. And when we look at culture,
yeah.
And when we look at culture diffusion, the way in our country, Western culture and many other types of culture, these are things that are really affecting us Zambians to not know our identity, because we are diffusing, we are living by cultures that are built from other countries. Exactly. And that's why we cannot be because it's not us. We are living lives that are not meant for us. We are living lives that do not define what we believe in. We are living lives that do not define our roots. So you'll find that it's not easy to develop a patriotic spirit. And what we are doing to rekindle the spirit of patriotism in Zambia is firstly by helping the young people understand the history of Zambia. By helping young people, when you stand and sing for Zambia, singing the national anthem, it's not just the words. Those words must mean something to you. They must live in your hearts. They should speak to every fiber of your being. And away from away from helping them, away from helping them understand what Zambia is, the culture of Zambia is, we also do social responsibility activities where we decide to just go in the community, maybe find a police post that maybe the paint is not okay. We decide to bring up young people together and we make them work by providing every resource and material needed to help them do the painting. And through that painting, at first it will seem like an exercise.
Yeah.
It will seem like an exercise. But over time, these activities have proved so much to be effective in helping young people by identifying problems in their communities that they can fully address, minus waiting for the government to address. You find them addressing those problems, and the consistency over time is what develops, the love and dedication. Because love, it same applies to the issue of relationships. When you're proposing, like a young man like me, when I propose love to a young lady, I'll be attracted. But for love to be built, for love to be built, I have to be consistent in, investing my time in, yes, invest in my time, and also just being there for that love to be built over time. Same with the activities. The more they get to do things, activities about Zambia, activities aligned to what we believe in as a nation, to the values that we have as a nation, and to everything that aligns to the way we live, you'll find that over time they fall in love, and that love continues to live in their hearts. So one, just civic education about Zambia, helping young people understand the civic education about Zambia, and two, helping them do activities that help them, use their energies, time, and everything in addressing challenges in their communities. It also helps in rekindling the spirit of patriotism. So it's about consistency in applying your energy and time about affairs of our country, Zambia. Yeah.
And what are the results? What are you seeing? What are you seeing among the people that you're working with in this campaign to renew patriotism, especially among young people? Because as you said, there's a lot of Western influence from, music, there's, clothing, for example, there's some young people that, it's even the little things, you may not want to use the vernacular language because, it's about English, we should be teaching, I remember I had one of my, cousins said, no. We were talking to one of his other cousins who was little. And, he said, no, he shouldn't be learning Bemba. He needs to be speaking English. So it's those little things. What results are you seeing in your campaign?
Mm-hmm. So the results that I continue to see and continue to experience every day of my life, most of the friends that I have, I'm always found with the young people of the junior parliament that we are doing with this work campaign of rekindling the spirit of patriotism in Zambia. So like every day of my life, I'm always with them. And the things that we do all the time about, change and transformation. So when I am at the office or maybe out of Ndola doing some activities, the guys from Ndola Junior Parliament chapter will be coming after us. Like, when are we having, the next debate? Because we use our debates for advocacy and sensitization on various issues affecting our communities. So they're always hungry and thirsty for, advocacy, sensitization. And when they see a challenge in their community, they'll run to us. Mr. Speaker, they call me Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we've seen this challenge in the community. How best should we go about it? Can you give us introductory letters so that we visit these institutions? Same with Lusaka. Even if we are not there, young people are always on the ground, looking out for challenges and looking out for opportunities where they can save, and where they need help, they ask us to help them identify stakeholders that they can engage. So the result that I continue to see is young people being hungry to address challenges and many issues that are affecting their communities, and getting interested in the affairs of our country.
Of the youth. So what systemic barriers or what sort of issues have you noticed that are preventing young people from fully participating in national development? What systemic barriers? Because I'm assuming there are some that you've experienced, and what are you doing to mitigate them? So number one, what barriers have you experienced that are preventing youth from fully participating in this sort of experiential learning of government and public service? And number two, what steps are you doing to mitigate or to alleviate those barriers?
Yeah. One barrier I feel is on the part of the young people themselves. I believe as young people, what I've seen over time in Zambia, as young people, we have misplaced priorities. We most of the times we live our lives, we want to party, we want to have fun, and we don't want to engage in such matters. These issues are not meant for us, they are meant for big
adults.
Let me enjoy my life. Let me have fun. So I believe that's one barrier we create for ourselves, which I believe limits our limits us to have the opportunity to influence change and also just drive transformation where we live and drive transformation in Zambia. And the other barrier is, most of the time, some some institutions and people in institutions will look down on young people. They'll be like, "What can you tell me? You're just young."
Yeah.
But they do not know the potential and the capacity that God has deposited in the lives of the young people. And one other barrier is lack of platforms. If I wasn't exposed to the junior parliament, I don't know if I would have had the opportunity to influence change at the rate at which we are able to influence change in policies, in communities, in schools, and in every sphere of our lives. So I think one barrier is that there are no platforms, credible platforms where young people can be given the power and opportunity to influence change. Limited platforms, since already junior parliament is there, giving young people a platform to be able to overcome these systematic barriers that are there. And one other thing is no mentorship. I think all the people that are in leadership positions, they are not so much intentional in pouring in the lives of young people. We are not mentored mostly on how best we can participate in civic issues, on how best we can handle life, on how best we can be patriotic, and on how best we can drive transformation in our communities. So we find that due to that lack of mentorship, we don't have the necessary skills to be able to influence change and also be fully effective in just driving transformation.
I think what I love about your work, and it reminds me of the story of Bill Clinton, who of course was president of the United States in the 90s. When he was a young man, he he did this American equivalent of the speaker program, junior parliament, but it was called Boys Nation. And what they did was they went off to DC, and you would have to campaign just among youth. It was all young people. You'd have to campaign for a position, and if you were selected, you would be one of the representatives who would go to DC these are people from all over the country. Only 2 representatives from each state. You'd go to DC, and he was selected, and he went to DC, and he got to meet the president at the time, John F. Kennedy, and he shook his hand. And he said that when he shook his hand, people have said this before, that's when he knew that he wanted to pursue a career in politics. And he eventually became, this was in 1963. 30 years later, Bill Clinton became president of the United States, all from a hand. Why? Because he was in a program that sort of fostered leadership development young people. And I see that in the same work that you're doing, because you are inspiring someone who may not have had a passion or purpose. You're inspiring them to a life to a life that's beyond yourself, to a cause that's beyond yourself, and that can build a passion for politics, a passion for public service, and that could eventually lead to a political career. So my next question is, what are some of the most powerful transformations that you have witnessed throughout your public ministry? Because what you're doing is ministry. So what are the most powerful transformations that you have witnessed throughout this time?
A number of transformation I have witnessed, and it's nice as a young man to see a team of young people being able to drive the transformation that we've been able to drive over the years. So one transformation is myself. When you see me, this is the transformation that has taken place. So I'm a big evidence of this transformation. Everything that you're able to hear from me is as a result all these things that I've been exposed to. So I cannot mention these other transformations minus talking about myself as a transformation.
Exactly.
Yeah, so one transformation is in 2016, we had a junior parliament debate on plastics being a nuisance to the environment. We engaged government through Zambia Environmental Management Agency, and through that engagement, government managed to implement a statutory instrument where they banned single-use plastics and ordered every chain store to or every plastic people that are involved in plastic production to be making biodegradable plastics. And that's one national policy influence that we are able to influence as junior parliament. One other in Kalulushi, we went at a school, we were looking at issues, children having access to quality education. We went at a certain school called Kankonchi Secondary School. We found the average pupil to teacher ratio, student to teacher ratio was about 110. And you would find that young learners are staffed up in one class, and some of them were learning in a makeshift made of timber. And most of them were wearing blankets in the month of June while they are learning outside, and just to be all over. We engaged government through District Education Secretary Board and also the area member of parliament through under the Constituency Development Fund to construct a 1x4 classroom block. As I speak now, 2 years ago, this building was constructed. At this school, a 1x4 classroom was constructed to reduce the high teacher to pupil ratio. In 2017, we were talking about schools. At that time, there was no free education in Zambia. As learners, people were paying an amount that was so high for most families for a child to be able to in school. So we engaged government to reduce school fees in Zambia, and they managed to reduce the school fees by 300 kwacha. And there was misappropriation. We also engaged the government over the Constituency Development Fund. There was a police post called Pamoza Police Post from 2016 up to 2018. This police post was being funded under the CDF funds. A lot of money, thousands of kwachas, but for about 2 years, the police post wasn't being commissioned and the construction wasn't being completed. People were misusing funds. So engaged government through the constituency office. We made sure that resources that were allocated were effectively used, and as a result of our engagement, that police post was fully constructed and commissioned. And there are a lot of other community transformations and policy transformations that we've made over time as young people through the platform of junior parliament and through the mentorship that has been poured into us over time. So there are a good number of transformations that we've made. And one thing that touched me, it was a young person of junior parliament working in the community at the time in 2019 when we had issues of load shedding. So at this clinic, Chipukotamayamba, mothers in the night were giving birth in candlelight.
My God.
Yes, and that clinic only had one midwifery nurse. So when that young person picked out that challenge, I came to junior parliament. We sat together as a team through Jubilee Center. They helped us have debate and engage relevant authorities. A midwifery nurse was deployed at this clinic, and government managed to install a standby genset to help provide electricity power in this in the labor ward. Yeah, so it's just
So this is
exciting.
really a sort of simulation, or in public service, in learning. Now I'm feeling a little bit jealous because as someone who's also a young person who's also interested in politics, I'm like, wow,
Oh,
maybe I should go back. Maybe I should have spent
come back, brother. Come
my
back.
my my years in Zambia. Maybe I should have gone back for high school so I could have done this. Um, you talked about sort of going back to a previous segment. We talked about challenges, and you talked about older leaders who are who are stubborn, for lack of a better word, and don't really see the potential that we as young leaders have. What have you done to sort of change their minds? Have they been more receptive to you among some of the leaders that you're working with? Because it takes time to change someone's perspective on young leaders.
Yeah. Yes, we've managed to change the narrative, and this narrative has been changed by exposing leaders to the junior parliament and the potential that young people have. Like I said yesterday, we had a debate. We were invited by government. They were hosting Parliament Day. So Parliament were just invited to do a Parliament session so that people can be exposed, bringing Parliament closer to the people. And when we had that debate, people just thought, it's just fun. It's just a play. These young people will just be talking. But when we went, the atmosphere changed. When you look at the seriousness of these young people, then how they articulate factual and refined information found in our policies, information found in different government publications. Leaders were so marveled. They were so moved to just see how serious we were and how we were taking these issues so serious and busy engaging them and lobbying them to do the right thing as young people. One leader publicly said, like I said earlier, he said, I'm so amazed to see how articulate these young people are and how they're able to present refined, well researched information. So I believe us exposing them to the junior parliament has really changed their perspective. You find now we have a lot of leaders that are looking forward to junior parliament debates. When are you inviting us? When are you engaging us? Because they've seen us as a partner of development and they've seen the amount of potential that young people have when they are groomed and when they are prepared. So we've managed to change the narrative and we are winning a lot of leaders by helping them see the potential and the purposefulness and the relevance that is in the Junior Parliament Initiative and also the potential that is in the young people. Yeah.
As we begin to wind down, first, let me again say that I don't know about our audience, but I am feeling inspired, and I trust that you are too. And I hope this conversation has shown you, has illustrated to you that the young people that we as youth, that we are very serious, and that the future is in good hands when you have young people who are, number one, committed to the ways of the Lord, and number two, who are driven by a desire to serve and not just a desire to accumulate power. Because, as our fantastic brother has said, oftentimes as young people, we're so focused on the shiny objects. We're so focused on, partying and, living life. And yes, there's nothing wrong with having fun in your youth because you're never going to get it back. So you should have fun, but you should also walk with a certain intentionality and purpose because you know that, God has greater plans for you. So I'm feeling inspired by this conversation. I'm certainly grateful that our president and our Shima Pepo has dropped some words of wisdom here. And one of my final questions is, and we're gonna have a few, but this question: where do you see Zambia in 5 to 10 years if today's youth are fully mobilized and engaged. And you're already doing that, but what is your vision for Zambia in the next 5 to 10 years if we see a fully engaged youth apparatus?
I see a Zambia that is innovative. I see a Zambia that is economically developed. I see a Zambia that is sustainable. And I see a Zambia that is transformative. And I see a Zambia that is economically developed.
Mm, mm. What is your message? Going back to the beginning, where we talked about your story and how you found purpose and how you found passion. What is your message to a young person right now who may be listening, who feels overlooked, who feels that they are devoid of purpose, who feels like they're just roaming, that they're alive, but there's nothing in them? What is your message? Because that was your story. That was your story. How you started out. Said that you came from a family where you had to take care of your father who was impaired, and you were bullied because of that, and because of that bullying, you felt like you had no hope. You were just a vessel. You were alive, you were walking, you were with us, but you were just a vessel. So what is your message to that young person, to that, not just that young person, but that person, but specifically that young person who is feeling devoid of purpose, who is feeling that they have no dreams, no aspirations? What is your message to them? Because you've been transformed. So how can you use your message to transform others?
My message to that young person is that you are enough. You are valuable. Everything that you need and desire to become effective, become full of life, has been deposited in you. Just look within you. Don't look elsewhere. You are not defined by what people say. You are defined by who God has called you to be. And the fact that God has given you life, you are still living, it shows that you have so much to offer ahead. So don't be distracted by the pain, by the challenges you're going through. Those challenges, that distraction, that pain, that feeling of emptiness is a reminder that God is calling you and God is desiring to pour more into you. And those experiences are there to help you grow, become better, and shape you to becoming the person that God has desired you to be. You are powerful beyond measure. You are enough. You are everything that can add life and significance to humanity. Do not underestimate the power of your existence. The fact that you have life, God is not done with you. You have so much to offer.
Our very own Shima Pepper. Now this question, this one might be a little hard, but I don't think so because you're very quick on your feet. If you had the opportunity to have an audience with the president of Zambia, what question would you ask him?
What question can I ask him?
Mm.
Mr. President, that's a
That's
tough
a hard
question.
one, huh? I got you on this one.
You got me on this one. You got me. If it was what can you tell him, that would have been easier. But what question?
Or you can do both. What would you tell him and what question would you ask him? So we'll do both.
Okay. The message I can tell him is, Mr. President, the fact that God chose you in this season, it indicates that your leadership is purposeful and you are the right person in this season and is willing to achieve so much through you. Serve with so much diligence, serve with so much honor, because leadership comes from God. It's not accidental. Just do what you can by aligning the plan and the vision that you have for Zambia to God. And every development and economic development that we need to achieve as Zambians, it lives in the Zambian people. Focus on the Zambians and focus a little on external foreign direct investment. Focus so much on the Zambian people. The development, economic independence lives in our hearts because we are unique and there's so much God has put in us in order to make Zambia a better place. It will only take Zambians to develop Zambia. And then the question that I can ask the president is, you've got me on this one.
We won't have to subject you to that one.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
But
have a
final two questions is we talked about preparation, and you talked about the importance of especially for young people to be prepared. What advice would you give to a young person who wants to have a career in public service, in politics, in line with that sort of that theme of preparation? Because you talked about that. You said it's very important for a young person, especially in the political sphere, but not just in the political sphere. You have to be prepared. So what advice would you have for a young person who desires to have a career in politics?
My advice is, if you have a desire to be in politics, don't stay away from politics. Be close to the political arena because you have so much to learn, you have so much to be exposed to, and politics is not a dirty game, but God is willing to use you and me to redefine and give life to politics. Expose yourself to environments that would shape you and help you understand better what politics are all about, what public service is all about, and live your dream now. Don't wait for the position. As you live your dream, that's where the right preparation is. Volunteer for your community. Be involved in community service. Be involved in studying and reading literature about Zambia, and be intentional in interacting with leaders that are already there. Don't stay away, and be passionate and build a patriotic spirit for Zambia, because patriotism is what will sustain your dream and what you desire to become.
Final question before I give you the platform, just to share how we can support you, is what scripture or principle, but specifically what scripture, because I know that you are a deep man of faith, do you lean on when times get tough? What scripture, what principle?
Jeremiah 29 verse 11 is the scripture that continues to guide me. In pain, in challenges, in affliction, suffering, in success, and everything that I go through, I always remember it's purposeful. There's a plan and a future in what I'm going through. So purpose is what drives me. I always know I'm not an accident. That's a phrase that drives me. I'm not an accident. The fact that I have life, God is still giving me an opportunity to live. There's a purpose. Even in this pain, there's purpose. He's building me, he's preparing me, and he's helping me grow and all that. So Jeremiah 29 verse 11 is what drives me no matter how hard life gets.
Amen. We have a comment here from Mr. Mike Walia. When voices like Ray Mhambi give real hope, when youth speak up with purpose, the future of Zambia looks bright. Thank you so much for your kind comment. And thank you so much. What a productive interaction. Keep up with the wonderful work. Thank you so much. This is awesome work. We need more of such programs encouraged. Great, wonderful comments. Thank you so much to our fantastic guest, Mr. Ray Zulu. I am feeling inspired, and I thank God for you, and I thank God for the gift that He has deposited in you. You are an inspiration, not only to me, but I'm feeling inspired. I really feel inspired, and I thank God for the gift again that He has deposited in you. And I think I can speak for all of our audience and say that we look forward to seeing what God does with you next. Because here you are a young man, not in a hurry, but you're a young man on a mission, and on a mission to serve God through serving His people. And that's what we should do as young people. We should be people of intentionality, people of speed, because you're seeing this sort of shift now. There are more young people who are going toward Christ. There are more young people who are embracing the tenets of public service and volunteerism and helping others. And I think that you are a perfect candidate of those endeavors. So I want to thank you taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today, and just share with our audience, how can we support you? What are your social media platforms? How can we support your initiatives? And we'll make sure to tag him on social media as well.
Yeah. My social media platforms, Ray Daniel Zulu on Facebook, Ray D Zulu on Instagram, and also we have a Junior Parliament page on Facebook. It's called Junior Parliament, and we have a Jubilee Center page, an organization that is so passionate about grooming young people and me, and investing so much in the lives of young people. So they have a page called Junior Parliament, and you can just follow the page and continue following the stories of how they've continued to empower young people and other different programs, and just see how you can support the work of Jubilee Center and also the work of Junior Parliament, so that we continue to change the narrative in Zambia and build patriotic and responsible citizens, and also secure the lives of the young people. Because right now in Zambia, we've seen a lot of young people becoming junkies, but it's just the identity crisis that is there. So if initiatives like Junior Parliament can be supported, where we can help young people know who they are there with and what God has deposited in them, we will really change the narrative in Zambia. Yeah.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. And so that is our show for today. Conversations with Mhambi, with the future president of Zambia, Ray Zulu. We thank him for his time. And as we said before, I'm feeling inspired, and I hope you are feeling inspired as well. Young people are leading the way. And obviously, we're very grateful to Pastor Nathan and the ZBTR leadership team for this opportunity. And I thank God for this opportunity, because I was able to talk to someone who's already ministering to me right now. Thank you so much to all of our viewers, and we look forward to seeing you back here next month around this time for Conversations with Mhambi. So we are going to sign off. Good night, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're coming from. Goodbye, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
My name's Ray Daniel Zulu Jr. By God's original design, I was born to be a Zambian citizen. What I love about Zambia is that Zambia being a Christian nation, a nation that relies on God. The national motto, which is One Zambia, One Nation. This national motto helps us as the citizens of the country to be united, to act as one. What I dislike about Zambia is the high poverty levels that we have in our country, and orphans and vulnerable children not accessing quality education, and the issue of corruption that we have in our country. When one needs to access something, that person needs to bribe. Junior Parliament was brought up for young people, so that young people could have a say in developmental issues and issues affecting them. Because when wrong things are happening in the nation and they are not addressed, the people that suffer are young people. I joined Junior Parliament because I have that passion to work for the people and make a change in my community and the nation at large. As Junior Parliament, we've been attending the Global Leadership Summit for 2 years. On last year's Global Leadership Summit, what I learned was that a leader must take risks in order for a leader to grow. As I came for
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.